Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Matthew 7:7 imagine standing before the door to a treasure house filled with riches, wisdom, and blessings beyond measure. All you have to do is knock. How often do we stand hesitating, unsure if the door will open, or unsure if we should even ask? This verse is a powerful reminder of God's invitation. He calls us to ask with faith, seek with determination, and knock with persistence. He assures us that the treasures of heaven are not locked away. They're within reach for those who approach boldly in prayer. But why do we often receive so little? Could it be that we underestimate the power of prayer? Do we come to God with small, hesitant requests? Instead of confidently laying our needs and desires before Him, prayer is not merely a ritual or a last resort, it's an act of faith, a connection to the infinite resources of God. Prayer begins with asking. This doesn't mean presenting a grocery list of desires, but coming to God with a heart of faith, trusting His ability to provide. When we ask, we're acknowledging our dependence on Him. It's a humble admission that we cannot do it alone. In Romans 8:26, Paul writes, "For it also helpeth our infirmities, for we know not what we should pray for as we ought. But the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered." Think about that. Even when we don't know the words to say, the Holy Spirit intercedes on our behalf. Your most vulnerable moments of silence and confusion are not wasted in God's presence. Every tear, every groan, and every unspoken longing is understood and carried to the throne of grace. Asking is the first step, but seeking takes us deeper. To seek means to actively pursue God's presence, His wisdom, and His will. This isn't a passive endeavor. It requires intentionality and focus. Jeremiah 29:13 reminds us, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Seeking God isn't about finding answers quickly. It's about drawing closer to Him and aligning our hearts with His. When we seek God in prayer, we open ourselves to His guidance and correction. Sometimes our plans are not His plans. In those moments, we must trust His wisdom and wait patiently for His timing. Waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means actively seeking Him through prayer, study, and worship. The Bible is full of promises for those who seek God. Psalm 34:10 says, "The young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek the Lord shall not want any good thing." Seeking God guarantees that we will find everything we truly need, even if it doesn't look like what we initially expected. Finally, Jesus calls us to knock. Knocking is an act of persistence. It's not a single attempt, but a continued effort. Sometimes God's answers don't come immediately. The door doesn't always swing open on the first knock. Why? Because God often uses the process of waiting to refine our character and deepen our faith. In Luke 18, Jesus tells the parable of the persistent widow who kept coming to an unjust judge, asking for justice. Though the judge initially ignored her, he eventually granted her request because of her persistence. Jesus uses this story to teach us the importance of not giving up in prayer. If an unjust judge would respond to persistence, how much more will our loving Father respond to His children? When you knock on heaven's door, don't stop when you don't see immediate results. Keep knocking, trusting that God's timing is perfect. As Isaiah 40:31 promises, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." Now, have you ever considered how precious your prayers are to God? Revelation 8:4 describes the prayers of the saints rising before God like incense. Each prayer, whether whispered in the quiet of the night or cried out in desperation, is heard and treasured by our Creator. Ellen White beautifully writes, "Every sincere prayer that is offered is mingled with the efficacy of Christ's blood." This means that even our imperfect prayers are made powerful through Jesus. He stands as our advocate, taking our feeble words and presenting them before the Father as a fragrant offering. Prayer is not just communication, it's transformation. It moves heaven because it aligns our hearts with God's will. It's through prayer that we access divine power, wisdom, and peace. Human plans and calculations pale in comparison to what God can accomplish through the prayers of His people.